Popping into it.
Yeah, let's pop into it.
All right.
On Ball Podcast, we're reviewing some brackets.
It's March.
It is March. It's big. We're 4 guys seated, movie theater seating in front of a TV right now.
We've already locked in. It has this is coming live, and the tournament has officially begun. We are underway. The path is set before us. We have in our hands the road map. It's like a secret. It's a secret map that we're all trying to. We're trying to figure out here. So
they say the Holy Grail is at the end of this. That's what they say. I say we hadn't really talked about how we want to discuss these brackets, but I think we should maybe go, and Aaron, we're really throwing you into a hot, kind of the deep end here, thinking that our long-lost friend Josh Claxton will do a in memoriam. Though he is still living, he's not with us. I was going to give him a section. I was going to say we can go like region by region. If anyone has any picks they think are locked, any sleepers in that region. I know yours isn't really filled out.
I got the answers. It's in my mind.
He's got it locked.
I know the score. It's in my pocket.
We just go region by region. Each person grabs a region, and then we're like, I would like to personally take on the.
Yeah, let's call dibs right now. Okay.
Yeah, give me the Midwest. That's my.
Okay. I'd like to go east.
East.
I'll go east.
Locked in.
All right.
I'll pick the. Give me the West.
Give you the West. You needed the West.
I
honestly.
do need the West. I got a lot to say on that one.
You got the South.
So, Christina, pick a cardinal direction.
Whoa!
Oh,
Pick
what?
again.
What a huge broken brain moment right there. There's four directions on this, and none of them are north.
That's awesome. Yeah, pick again.
South. All right, so there is a South. How crazy of them to name it the Midwest to be South, Midwest, West, and East. Anyway. No love.
For the adult males, it's a welcome break in an otherwise largely solitary existence.
Write this down. You get to heaven, and you don't find me there.
You have gone to hell.
You are tuned into Hot Topic. My name is Aaron.
And my name is Bryce.
And here are the top stories of the week.
Bama can. I do not want Bama to make it out of the South. That is a true take that I have.
They got a pretty easy road to make it out, if I'm being completely
It all
honest.
seems
Easiest
easy.
road.
The easiest.
Easiest.
May not prove
Least
to
hard.
be to be the one that's prevailing.
That is true. I got Bama as my national champion.
Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta follow.
They're in my championship game too.
Yeah.
Bryce has had Bama locked in for.
I have had them locked in for a long time. I've had to weather the storm with the fans.
Yeah, you've been.
I said, you want to make us the villains? We'll be the villains.
Yeah, what a ooh. I don't want to get too deep into this, but pretty tone deaf fan base that Bama has displayed. They've put on kind of honestly a masterclass to being tone deaf.
That's part of you now, Bryce. So
Yeah, Bryce, you're
That
voting
is.
that.
You're
I'm
one of
gonna
them.
vote.
I'm not running away from it. I've come out full front. I've grabbed the mic away from Aaron and said, hey, I have Bama in my national championship, and I want them to be there. I think they deserve it. They've played great all year.
They are
good team.
great. They are a really good team.
They are.
But I picked them to lose to Virginia because they just play a totally opposite style. I just think that they could. Bama is they're so heavily reliant on the three, and I think a lot of times that gets mistrayed as like they could, but they are so good that even when they're bad, they are capable of putting teams away by shooting the three. Like they have been that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there's a team that's out there that could maybe play some I don't know. Just I'm hoping at this point. I guess that's probably my true. As we go through the picks, a heart over brain pick is truly like, man, I'd like for Virginia to be the team. Like them not making it to the Elite Eight would be pretty awesome.
Well, that's one of the fun things about the tournament in general is you get those complete like matchup. Just one team, fantastic offensive team to Virginia for years now. It's focused on being a complete defensive team. They don't got what it takes though. Go Bama. Whew.
Yeah, that's what. Well, one of those even in retrospect, I looked back. I just glanced back. I'm like, ooh, Virginia over Al. I picked that. Like that
They are a veteran team too, Virginia.
Yeah.
They have some tournament experience with their. I mean, it was a while ago where they really made deep runs, but they got some tournament experience there at the guard position, which is kind of what you want in the tournament.
There is always madness involved, and so I'm choosing to believe it will happen in that game.
Any first round upsets for you guys coming out of the South? I have Charleston over San Diego State. I don't think watching San Diego State play in the their conference championship was one of the worst games I've seen. And I know they make things sloppy, and that usually gets the job done in tournament play. But Charleston's kind of second year being a team that should be knocking on the door. I almost feel I've made some stars of the games I can get talked out of, but the games that I can't get talked out of, I put a lock next to Charleston. I feel very confident about these guys coming in.
There's a reason they're advancing to the second round in my bracket.
Yeah.
They've I would say they've shown me something, but I haven't watched too much. I couldn't say that. I don't really
Could say it.
I could say it. But yeah, the feel I get around this team, they're just charged up and energized, and I think I think actually this pick is more based on a little bit of a degradation, a little bit of San Diego State.
Yeah.
I don't hold them very highly regarded especially as a 5 seed. I think they're pretty vulnerable to an upset. And Charleston happens to be, obviously a really strong team having a good season. So that is kind of just where I honestly see that as a pretty, and you see this quite often. That's why, like, our perception of 5 versus 12, those teams are pretty, they're more comparable than, their seeding might really suggest in terms of just overall skill level. So I like Charleston there. And then another thing is I like Missouri over Arizona in round 2. That's not a first round upset, but that's a first weekend upset that I really like to pull. I think they could play a style of basketball, and they play I don't know, probably like
Missouri's a scrappy team. I think that's one you were talking about.
It'd be hard to prepare on a back-to-back. Like, that's the second team Arizona might play. Like, that's a good time to catch a favorite. Not that first game, but maybe that second game where they've only prepared for Missouri for, one night or 2 nights. I think they could come in there and compete.
I was pretty impressed with watching Missouri play this past weekend. I noticed they only have juniors and seniors on that team, so pretty experienced group of guys.
Yeah, big and hit the transfer portal very big this year, and then already had some good guys that were
big Dennis Gates guy too.
Yeah.
He has no tournament failure as of right now, so it's always nice to enjoy coaches who haven't really failed.
Yeah.
Like Rick Barnes, he's got a lot of early round exits, but Dennis Gates, he's bringing a team that's fresh. He's bringing, it's his first time going at Mizzou. I got him having a nice run. Let's go Tigers.
I feel like the South region is one of the more.
It's kind of bland.
It is kind of bland. It does seem like at least for the 1 seed and even the 2 seed. I know you have Missouri over Arizona, but I feel like both of them have pretty solid runs to face. I have Creighton actually against Arizona in my Sweet 16.
Yeah, I do too.
I like what the Creighton-Baylor game is kind of a. This side of the bracket has a lot of teams that Arkansas has played before this year. So that Creighton-Baylor game will be a game to be like, these were 2 turning points of the seasons.
Two of the definitely the better teams that Arkansas did play, and played them both, super close and
lost by a total
really
of like 8
enjoyable
points.
games both ways. And Creighton at its full strength is really impressive to me. And I could certainly see them taking Baylor. I mean, Baylor's defense is a liability.
Huge liability.
And so, and Creighton could light it up. I mean, they have an offensive, and it was crazy. At least the game they played Arkansas, like 90% of their scoring was their starting five. Like those starting five guys just carried such a huge part of the offensive load. But in the tournament, you kind of can do that, and a lot of teams honestly kind of revert to a smaller lineup. And when it's reduced, like, okay, it's my best 6 guys can take your top 6.
Yeah, I mean, for that region, I'm not really so convinced that Baylor's going to make it out of the first game. I got the Gauchos of Santa Barbara.
Whoa, the knife turns over here.
Well, because we were talking about like teams with tournament experience, and Santa Barbara, they played in the tournament last year, and I think they had a pretty good team, and they got this Belgian fella that kind of leads the way and was player of the year in their conference. So just to be in spite of Baylor, because, I mean, I went to TCU, so I don't really like Baylor at all. So that's kind of the main reason. But, no, I think Santa Barbara has a decent chance to beat them.
Yeah, I think Baylor's very beatable. It goes against everything I believe with guards win tournament games, because they do have 3 very good guards, 1 being a freshman, but 2 pretty proven tournament guards. But I don't know. Baylor seems like they're on the outs. Let's move out of this just super bland South Division.
Yeah. Baylor's a legacy pick for me right now. Like, yeah, I've seen them have tournament success. Yeah, I don't know. They're a good enough seed. They're in a good position for me. I don't like a few of these other teams. So, yeah, they'll make the Final Four.
Hey, good enough for you, good enough for me.
And they slid through for me.
Yeah. Hey, they got some issues, too. I know you were against Bama, but Baylor's not scot-free program-wise. Whatever.
I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't.
You could probably find something in a lot of programs outside of Arkansas and TCU. You want to go down to the East?
I'll take the East for a run here. This was a bracket where I really had my Final Four team cemented. I was taking Marquette Golden Eagles regardless.
I like it.
Marquette was coming through to the Final Four for me. So I started there, and I worked through the first round of games, and I've kind of been asking this question around, and I'm not posing it at the moment, but just kind of a thought, put a pin in it for later. Like, I want to know how everybody does their bracket if you truly go first round, second round, like from the top and just go through. Yeah. See, and so this one, at least in my head, I knew Marquette was going through because I didn't really like Purdue. Anyway, I got Purdue facing off versus Florida Atlantic. FAU, I'm riding the hot non-power bids.
Yeah.
I'm riding the teams that they have amazing records. I have not watched much of them, but I respect the efficiency with which they played their season. I think there is a testament to winning, and I think if you really step on, that many times you stepped on the court, you won, you have a pretty good idea of how to walk off a winner. So I'm riding with them, and if I lose with them, I lose with them. Because I like Memphis a lot, and I actually think Memphis could give Purdue a lot of problems. That's kind of the conundrum on these 8-9 matchups here across the board for me. I got Oral Roberts. They were my one of my 2 locks. Now, both my locks happen to be in the same bracket down here. But I got Oral Roberts, and I said no matter what, I'm picking them. And then it came out when it was Duke, and it just made me second-guess myself. But I had to remember, me and Ben were talking, there's always one upset that you truly don't see coming. That it's like, no, this team's playing great right now. Like, all things are headed in the right direction. They're too strong, and kind of Duke's a team like that. Like, just won the ACC. A lot of people are picking
them
riding
high
for a 5 seed. So many people are picking them to go to the Final Four, win the tournament. It's like,
that's crazy.
And they are like, oh, they've won 9 straight games. Yeah, but this could be the one that they lose. And Oral Roberts is strong, man. I would just want this one to happen. So Oral Roberts facing off versus Tennessee. So I got Tennessee actually in spite of Rick Barnes' lack of tournament success, in spite of Zakai Ziegler's injury, in spite of all that, I'm picking the Vols to the Elite 8, making a run to tie their longest in program history this year of all years. when they didn't just come off an SEC tournament. Yes, this is the madness. We're in the madness. We're in the mud right now. Like Tennessee, they're making the Elite Eight. They're taking down Edie and Purdue. On the bottom half, I do have Kentucky. Got Kentucky beating Providence. Ed Cooley, what's the word? What's the word? Is he going to Gonzaga? Is he? Not Gonzaga, Georgetown. Other big G. Whoa, wrong coast. We're all over the map here. That's kind of the talk. That's a smoke right now that Providence coach. Anyone got a update on that? Am I?
No update. Really, just hearing about it.
Okay,
I've been out of loop
breaking
on
news. Breaking news to you right now. By the time this airs, Ed Cooley might be the Georgetown head coach. You never know, but it could be totally different because he may beat Kentucky and then sign a Providence extension forever. Then here we go, Montana State. This is the team you gotta watch. These guys are a fun bunch of run and gun defensive lockdown guards. They are gonna they're gonna eat you alive.
And they wear short shorts.
And they do, they do wear uniforms reminiscent of kind of the days of old. Probably like in relativity, making them look like even faster and like better. Just they're running
or more aerodynamic.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they're a blur around the court. They play awesome to watch. This is a team I really just attached to in the Big Sky semifinals. I turned it on. They were playing. I can't even remember who they were playing because it's always been Montana State.
Wyoming A&M.
Yeah. So I saw them in the semifinals for like 4 minutes. I said, this team is great. I love the way they play. They were the 2 seed. I said, they're gonna win the Big Sky, and I'm picking them in my first round. And then I watched them win the Big Sky tournament, and just love the way they're playing ball. I actually got them beating Kentucky. So that would be something to watch.
A juicy one.
That is Montana State over Kentucky. You don't have to take that one to the bank, but if it happens, you heard it here first. Michigan State over USC. Yeah, I got no real idea on the Trojans. And then Marquette taking it to the Final Four over Tennessee. And I got them making the championship game.
This was a side of the bracket where I think I've kind of played myself in terms of last year I was fooled a little bit with the Blue Buds blue blooding and just kind of dominating the tournament closer to the end. And I looked at this portion of the bracket and was like, I'm not going to be fooled again by that situation.
Oh, you got Duke going to the Final Four.
Oh, I got Duke going to the Final Four. I got Duke and Kentucky in my Elite Eight.
I
got Duke and Kentucky. It's gross. It's gross.
Nice.
The bracket's gross.
Your bracket is disgusting.
I am the villain. If you haven't gotten, I will be the villain.
He's a Bama fan. He's a Duke fan. He's Kentucky.
I'm cheering my boys along.
You want to add Kansas to it too?
No, I don't. But no, I do think this is going to be one of the most fun sides of the bracket because it seems like a lot of teams are poised to make runs. Throwing in Florida Atlantic, which was a team that you've kind of convinced me. I do think they have a better chance. I think Memphis has a better chance at beating Purdue almost than they do at beating Florida Atlantic. Just taking that steam, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Is that true or not?
It's not true, but at the same time, it just feels that way. Like Memphis coming from this side early on has a way more solid chance of knocking out Purdue, and it might have that, I don't know, that little spark to them to be like, hey, we can be the team that takes over the 1 seed
FAU
line,
is not looking at Purdue.
No, they're not, which is why I think it could go in their favor in that first round, and they're a very good team. I've had the opportunity to check out a little bit of Conference USA basketball throughout the season. Some loosey bets thrown their way as they, they were covering. So, it's going to be interesting. I was so sad to see on Selection Sunday Oral Roberts get pitted against Duke.
Yeah, that's
because, tough. I like Oral Roberts. They got a lot going for them. They got a lot locally going for them with Connor Vanover, Isaac McBride being on the team. But it just seems like I hear what you're saying, but it seems like a tough matchup for them. I think a lot of teams like Memphis, like Duke, Kentucky's not hot, but they find a way. And USC is one of those teams that always seems to find a win in the tournament.
Yeah.
At that 7, I feel like at that 7-10
Yeah, they're
line.
always
I'm kind
either
of
a
in
7 or
agreement
10.
with you there, but it's interesting that they're matched up with Michigan State, who also does historically pretty well in the tournament.
True.
So,
True.
yeah, whoever wins that game is going to give Marquette a pretty good run.
Yeah. I've watched it. I love Shaka Smart. Always been a big fan of Shaka Smart. And his team this year is playing. They've played fantastic all year long. But I think a sort of combination to that has been in the Big East. There has been some teams, and they've beaten great teams. But you saw UConn fall apart. And I don't think Marquette had anything to do with UConn falling apart this year. They just kind of somehow snapped out of being the great team they were at the beginning of the year. Same with Creighton. Injuries kind of got to them, which caused a few losses. Xavier, nitty-gritty right up there with Marquette, honestly, in the Big East. I think they might have split games before heading into the tournament. But I don't know. There's something about I've watched them play too many close games to have some confidence in them, and it maybe should go the other way around, where I should have confidence because they've played so many close games that I've seen. But I think this is going to be one of the fun. The East is going to be fun. The East is going to be
there's a lot of possibilities.
A lot of possibilities, and so many blue bloods to make it where it's like
there's not a lot of drop off like throughout the entire region.
That is a sweet bracket right there. That is a nice segment. Packed. Any little quadrant of session of games you went to there, you'd be seeing some really awesome basketball. Great matchups.
Oh yeah. Should we move on to the Midwest? You got anything left for the East?
Not the North.
Not the North. Well, we'll call it the North. You've heard it here first. We're calling this bracket the North. And guess what? I still haven't fixed the camera yet, so I'm going to test.
Nice. To the Midwest.
To the Midwest. Feel free to take this from me. I'm really holding it tight, but there's
I have
no.
something really urgent to say. I'll definitely grab it. It's just gonna be an awkward like.
Give me the mic.
It truly won't.
We gotta hear it. If you gotta also stand up.
Pontificate your. Feel free. I'll make it as awkward as humanly possible.
Set decoration right now. I'm fine with that.
What? This mannequin talks? To the Midwest. I got the Midwest. And I'm excited about the Midwest region because it is for a bracket that has a lot of, at least my bracket, has a lot of familiar names in the Elite Eight and final sections of it. This Midwest region has a few ones slipping by. So from the top, I have Houston getting a win up there, obviously, against Northern Kentucky. I hadn't seen them play. I feel like they might come in with some steam. For some reason, Houston always scares me jumping into the tournament just because they haven't kind of gotten over the eclipse. And I know this year's their year, but we'll see. Iowa versus Auburn. I got to take Iowa just to scorn Auburn. There's nothing there. Iowa makes threes. Auburn's three-point defense isn't that great. Miami, I know a lot of people are riding high with the Drake Bulldogs.
Are they?
Oh yeah.
Really?
They're riding high with the Bulldogs.
I need to check the guide.
Yeah,
I think.
that's,
Hold up. Hold up. I need to check the guide.
It's the team with the father-son combo.
Oh no!
as a
I
coach
bet.
and
Oh
son.
no! I picked against the father-son duo.
Yeah.
That is something.
That is a strong duo.
I need that highlighted
We've
on
seen-
my bracket every single year.
We've seen that duo do a lot of damage with Creighton, with Ron Hunter and RJ Hunter with Georgia State. Man, you do have me kind of. Well, they're too far for me, so I can't even.
Look at Pistol Pete's dad was his coach as well.
Wow.
Throwing that out.
That is crazy. What was his name? Shotgun Dan.
Hey, I went to Shotgun Dan's Pizza today.
Yeah?
Shout out for lunch. They got really nice lunch specials there
do.
at the Dan's.
They got some thick, super thick crusted pizza. Always kind of throws me off. But yeah, I know a lot of people are going with Drake. Any reason outside of the strong ties from coach to I haven't seen him play, so this is another one of the games I've marked. I can be convinced off of Miami. I've seen them play. I know they're good, and I know they have a lot of good guards and a lot of good big men that they kind of have one of those transfer brackets that they have a lot of talent and have been able to execute with it throughout the season. But any 5-12 game is I'm always nice. I would love to pick an upset on it.
Yeah.
Well, I found their page.
Oh, and we're looking right here through.
What statistic would you like to know about the Drake Bulldogs?
His name is written down. Matisse is the at Matisse on Twitter. Come on the pod, Matisse, next year.
What's the stat with the longest name?
Let's see.
Nothing.
No, I mean I'm reading all their names.
I think it's too much.
Yeah,
I think it's off.
So let's just say Tucker DeVries plays the most minutes a game, 32 points.
Yeah, he's that's the coach's son.
That's the
Makes
coach's
sense.
son?
Plays the most.
Whoa, nepotism
This
a
is
little
a Nepo
bit.
team?
Yeah. I think he was player in the year in their conference.
I'm going to say Drake's losing because of nepotism. I'm not really saying that. That's definitely going to come back to haunt me. Let's see. They shoot 62.7% of their field goals at the rim. There's your stat of the day.
That's a good Drake stat.
Yeah.
Flash that one.
And Tucker DeVries plays the most by 3+ minutes. He's the play.
It sounds like he's good. Sounds like he's
pretty
player of the
good.
year in the conference.
Yeah, I didn't read any of his stats, just minutes per game.
But yeah, I have Miami coming out of that game, and I'm gonna stick with it. Miami's actually gonna be making an appearance in my Elite Eight.
Ooh,
taking out Houston.
Very nice.
Actually down the way and setting up for a nice matchup coming from the bottom side of that bracket, which you might have something to say about some of my SEC takes coming from this.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a homer guy. I take some homer takes. It's me, my Razorbacks, and my Tide, making it all the way to my newfound. I'm just a big A team. But going to the lower side of the bracket, Iowa State, watched them play a few games. I know Caleb Grill went down for them. I heard that about 5,000 times during the Big 12 tournament. And they're showing out. They're playing really well. Not Klobuchar. That is the governor from Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar. Shout out to Amy. But they have a good three-point shooter, a guy who was in the tournament shooting like 50% in the Big 12 tournament. So I'll go with the hot team there over the game we are currently watching, Pittsburgh versus.
Good game right now, yeah.
Very good game. Very good game.
I've already in pen put Mississippi State, so I've pretty locked myself into the Bulldogs getting the win here, and I like to pick a dangerous 11 seed that's already won a tournament game. Somehow that feels like an advantage a little bit to me.
Yeah.
It's only an advantage to me in that first game. Because I think the first 10 minutes of a tournament game can have a different kind of feel. And I think if you've already won, you've already literally stepped onto a March Madness court and you've won a game, it kind of gives you a little bit of an edge maybe in that first matchup.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I put. That's my theory. It's
100%
kind of like
agree with that.
It's a theory that I have that's really based on nothing but vibes as well.
Yeah.
And I got Mississippi State in.
These are vibes brackets. But I got Iowa State actually making it to the Sweet 16, making it out of that first weekend over Xavier. Xavier, a very good team, but I don't know. There's something about, and it's totally recency bias. I'll be the first one to admit it. And we're not worried about racking up points on these Sweet 16 games. I would like to be correct about every pick, but I do think this Xavier team is, I don't know, the Big East this year has been maybe, I'm not going to say overrated. I don't want to say overrated, but I'm going to say there was some injuries to some top teams where they weren't facing top-tier talent the whole entire time, and the bottom tier was Georgetown holding it down bad. Then we go down to the final two games. I got Texas A&M beating Penn State. Got a good chance to watch Penn State the other day. Not impressed. Texas A&M got a chance to watch them a lot. And we'll say, I know Josh isn't here to really defend his claims, but I did have I think they are underseeded. I think Texas A&M got a little bit of the of I don't even know what to call it. That just a little hater vibes thrown their way. I think
they got like we're almost in an era of reverse common sense like seeding sometimes a little bit where it's like, dude, sometimes just seed the team that got second in the SEC and second in the SEC tournament like at least like a 5 or something. Like I don't know. It just seems odd to put a team, especially you look at like Kentucky. I think if you swap A&M and Kentucky, no one has almost any argument at all. Texas A&M's a 6 seed. It's like, okay, 6, that's a pretty good seed. And then Kentucky's behind them. But like Kentucky just lost twice to Vandy in the past 10 days. Like, and they still finished ahead of A&M. It does kind of feel like a little bit of a screw job. But at the same time, I mean, you kind of earn it to some extent too. So,
and I think Texas A&M last year getting snubbed out of the NCAA tournament. I think they just are a team with a lot to prove this year, and they've proved it during the regular season. And then getting snubbed and getting the 7th seed, like I'll be hard pressed. Every team's playing for a championship, but I'll be hard pressed to play for a team that's thinking they have been snubbed out of 2 championships, like didn't get the opportunity to play in one last year. Then at the bottom, Texas versus Colgate. It's hard to cheer on Texas. Anyway, I am the villain this year. It's hard to really go for Texas, but I got Texas winning that game and then losing to Texas A&M. And coming out of that side for me in my Final Four is Texas A&M. I think truly them having so much, I think they're underseeded, and it seems like an up-in-the-air bracket if I've already weighed out Xavier taking that second-round loss. So Texas A&M kind of strolling in their stupid Aggie way to a Final Four. I don't like it, but they're there. I wrote them
Houston
down.
Too. Like
Yeah.
Oh, I got Houston not even really getting
well, I'm just
too
saying,
far
like,
down the way.
I have A&M and Houston in the Elite 8 with a chance to play. Like both of those are obviously Houston's in Houston, but then I mean, College Station's not far down the road, so that's just that. The two of them playing for the opportunity for a Final Four in Houston would just be insane. But that's too much for me to handle, and I do have Houston winning, so we can't have like. All right, Aggies, have a good year. I'm not letting y'all have a home Final Four. Like, nah, y'all ain't got it like that. Like,
any sleeper picks coming out of that Midwest side that I really don't have. I don't think any too many crazy sleeper picks coming out of the first round. So, we talked about Drake a little bit. Any others?
Not really. Mississippi State's my only one that really goes against chalk. Like I think I got Auburn, but Texas A&M going to the Elite 8 probably classifies as my like upset of the that's my upset play of the region is A&M making a run to the Elite 8.
I think that's where my upsets come in past the first rounds this year.
We did talk about how funny the perception is of being underseeded. Like we're sitting here talking about how good A&M is as a 7 seed, but they still are a 7 seed. Like if they were a 5 seed, no one would be they'd be the perfect team to be like, I could easily see them getting upset as a 5-12. Yeah. But instead they're a 7 who we perceive as really good, and we're like, well. I see him making a run. Like,
that's probably a good point. If they were like a 5 seed playing Drake, I'd probably pick Drake like 100% of the time. But I don't know if you mentioned much about like Indiana, Kent State, but I really don't think Indiana's good outside of their 2 pros on their team, and Trace Jackson Davis and Hood-Schifino, who are both really good. But outside of those 2, the cupboard is bare in Indiana, man. But I'm a big fan of Kent State. I think I like what I saw in the MAC tournament and
Golden Flashes.
Yeah, man. They got
lot.
a really good team this year, and I think they have a real shot of beating Indiana in the first round.
I might have to bust out the pencil here. I had a star next to it. I could see the conviction in your face and in your voice. Yeah, I'm looking for something in the first round to make this a little bit more
should I continue on for my conviction on Penn State over A&M in the first round too?
Ooh, I couldn't be talked out of that one. I really I could go to bat.
Yeah.
I will go to bat for A&M this year.
I mean, the thing is here's a couple, starting with A&M.
All right.
They have a good record, and there's a reason they're a 7 seed, and they played – their non-conference schedule was so bad.
Bad.
anyone that they played with a pulse in the non-conference, they lost. And so I think they got rewarded pretty fairly for that 7 seed. But I think they did kind of come on strong in conference play. I like what I saw with them in the conference tournament too. But, I mean, Arkansas plays a little bit better in the second half. I don't think they make it to the conference championship, yet alone beating Arkansas. But Penn State's pretty interesting because I don't know if you saw like the All-American teams that were announced today, but second team All-American Jalen Pickett, who is their point guard of Penn State, he's pretty good. And Penn State, they have like 3 guards that pretty much score all their points in. Jalen Pickett, who I think is very good, a guy named Seth Lundy and Andrew Funk, and all 3 of these guys just launch. So if you tune into that game, you'll see those guys are going to be shooting a lot of long and deep threes. And Jalen Pickett has a funny style because he's kind of like a wide-bodied guard, and he kind of posts up a lot. And when they played Illinois in the conference tournament, Brad Underwood, who's coach of Illinois, he was all mad and salty because they lost, and he calls it like booty ball. As Jalen Pickett kind of like backs people down because he's a little wider guy, and he kind of bullies people in the post. So.
He would not like Nick Honor.
Yeah, man.
He would have a big problem with him.
I wish we could have that matchup.
He's like 6'4", like 250.
He is huge. And he also has everything about him is he kind of has a Genghis Khan Mongol looking for that's so insulting. But it really does. Like he has the Fu
Nick
Manchu.
Honor or Jalen Pickett.
Yeah, he has the Fu Manchu little stash, and he has very
Fu Manchu much better.
yeah, exactly. I didn't want to go that.
God.
Okay, guys, I'm the villain. What can I say? I'm back again. He has a very Mongol.
It's been stated. Like I am the
villain.
villain.
He's just stepping into his
I'm
role.
just playing it.
Just stepping into his shoes.
And we're just getting started. It's early. It's early. Don't let me get this pick right early.
But you see Wade Taylor guarding Jalen Pickett? I don't think so.
I think Seth Lundy, the big dude who shoots a bunch of threes, is.
Oh, dude, he launches.
He does launch, but that's a better matchup for him. And I think Texas A&M will put Washington on him.
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M.
I think they match up well against a lot of teams.
They do get after it defensively.
Yeah,
and I kind of like how Buzz Williams has them playing, but man, Penn State's tough, man. They've been putting it together the past couple months or couple weeks, I should say.
I really breezed by it. You make some great points. And I think it's going to make Texas A&M an even better team once they beat up a really good Penn State team in the first round.
Yeah, good point. Battle tested.
They got to play Texas next, and Texas A&M. This tournament, it means a lot to them. They're getting a lot of. I
like that they put a bunch of the, Houston, Texas A&M, and Texas, 3 Texas teams that, if the cards fell right, could make a Final Four. Obviously, some of us in this room have them picked to go to the Final Four.
Yeah,
and
that's an opinion.
But I'm just saying, it's funny that they put them all in the same bracket. Like there wasn't a chance of 2 of them making it to the Final Four.
Oh, matching a Houston, Texas A&M, and Texas just Final Four. Just absolute garbage.
Yeah, just terrible.
Just turning it off.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'm done with the Midwest.
All right.
Ben? Who do you have out of the Midwest? You got Houston.
Oh, I have Houston. I'm a big fan of Houston.
I have Houston as well.
Is Sasser out? What's the update on Sasser?
I haven't. I think he should be playing. He should be good to go. But I think, you kind of saw that they did struggle without him in the conference tournament when he wasn't playing. But full roster Houston's going to be a really tough team to put out. And you got like Houston or Final Four in Houston on the line.
True.
It's theirs to lose, to be honest. And I think they are the favorite, the Vegas favorite to win it all this year.
Is Reggie Chaney still on the Houston Cougars roster?
Yeah, he is.
That's amazing.
Razorback Reggie Chaney?
Razorback. If they have a player like Reggie Chaney in like year 6, they gotta be pretty good.
He's behind White, the big man.
Reggie Chaney was getting serious minutes as like a freshman at Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, not one of our best teams, far from it, but still, he was getting play, and that was like 6 years ago. He's a sixth-year guy.
This tournament's littered with. We're about to. No, we've already passed.
Oh, you passed over who? Desi Sills.
Yeah, Desi Sills.
Yeah, Kansas State. Oh, they won't get past Montana State. We don't need to give them. We don't have to give them attention.
Locked down in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, Desi. Shout out Desi. I will I will ride for Desi Sills until I die. So if they make a run, I would. That's heart and soul that would be happy if Desi Sills makes a run. I just hate that it has to be. I hate that it had to be Desi, but Montana State's just a buzzsaw.
It's a juggernaut.
Just
yeah.
an absolute buzzsaw from the big sky. You're not in Montana anymore, bud.
Oh no.
You're in the the West now.
Oh yeah, West Region time. Yeah. Man, just starting off with the 1 seed there. I as a Big 12 guy, I do not like Kansas at all. TCU just ran them out this year, and I think they're a little bit vulnerable. I don't think they have a chance to repeat this year, given that they don't really have a lot of depth at the forward and the big position. Obviously, I think I'll have them beat Howard, and then whoever wins in Arkansas and the Illinois matchup, I think is going to take the cake for that second round matchup against Kansas. I'm going to go with Arkansas just so you guys don't shoot me if I go for Illinois. But because it kind of, as we discussed, Arkansas, the talent is there obviously, and they have the length, the athleticism. They play good defense, but obviously the shot making is going to be an issue. But when you got guys like I think Devo Davis, his experience is really going to be a factor for them, and Anthony Black, really like what I see out of him inside the arc. And then when you got a guy like Nick Smith, I think he can really be the engine for a team that kind of does struggle to score. But as long as you got a team that has really strong guards and a guy that can put the ball in the hoop without a ball screen, Arkansas is going to be a dangerous team and a tough out. Moving along from that, another tough 5-12 matchup with VCU and St. Mary's. Haven't really been as impressed with St. Mary's as they kind of winded down in their conference tournament and got ran out by Gonzaga. So I think from the little birdies that went to the A10 conference tournament, they mentioned that they were big fans of VCU. So, they got Ace Baldwin, who kind of leads the way for the Rams. And, I think they got a strong chance of beating that St. Mary's team with the overwhelming athleticism and pressure that they kind of that they bring in day in and day out. So I like VCU. And then with Iona and UConn, I am a big fan of UConn. I think they're one of the most balanced teams in the country. You got like Jordan Hawkins, who's a great shooter, and then Sonogo, who is just a massive anchor down low for them. And all around, like, got some really good guards and good length all around for UConn. So I actually have UConn going pretty far. I have them beating Arkansas in the Sweet 16 to go to the Elite Eight. And on the second half of the bracket, which is a pretty tough gauntlet in my opinion, I think TCU, I've watched enough hoops of them this year, and I am a pretty big fan of them. I think when they kind of have their full roster, and when you got Mike Miles, who was the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, when he's healthy and he's really playing well, I think TCU is the best team in the conference, easily, in my opinion. But it's a big if they kind of play well and they play to their maximum potential, which is not always the case. And I think as a team, they shoot 30% from three. So it's very possible for them not to shoot the ball. But it's a team that switches every ball screen and a really athletic team defensively that absolutely gets after it. And Jamie Dixon's done a really good job with this group. So if they win that first round matchup, and I think they will, hopefully I'd like to see a Gonzaga matchup that I kind of think they match up well outside of the fact that Timmy is such a great scorer. TCU, I think it's a matchup that TCU can perform pretty well, and I'm curious to see how they stack up with them. But if I'm being honest, I just don't really see Gonzaga, or I don't see TCU having enough firepower to beat Gonzaga in that matchup. So in that aspect, going to the last quartet of the West region, Northwestern and Boise State, it's a bit of a toss-up here. I am a bit of a fan of Big Ten basketball, so I do have an edge on Northwestern, and I think they're pretty good, but also Boise State as well. So I think you can go either way on that, but I believe UCLA is probably going to pass on by either one of the teams that win in that game. So I got a Gonzaga-UCLA matchup and having Gonzaga beating them, and they're going to match up against UConn in the Elite Eight with UConn going to the Final Four.
Wow, go Huskies.
Yeah, that was a tough one because I actually think Gonzaga has a really good shot, but I am a fan of UConn, and I think teams with an early exit in the year before, and UConn had a lot of promise going into the tournament last year, and they lost their opening matchup. And I think usually when that happens, when they have the same core roster come back the following season, I think they typically have enough juice and enough incentive to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I do think UConn's going to have a good finish out to the tournament. That's
just a testament to how wide open this particular iteration of the tournament
this is a gauntlet of
I have your Final Four team, UConn, who I can see that's a very valid argument to them going to the Final Four. Like I have no no qualms there, but I do have them losing in the first round to Iona.
Yeah,
I got the Gales.
You can't bet against Rick Pitino.
I know it's hard to bet against Rick Pitino.
I am, and I'm doing it pretty confidently this year.
The interesting thing about this region too, if you're into the Ken Palm statistics, so 6 of the top 20 teams in Ken Palm are in this region, that's excluding Arkansas. So. And Illinois too. So realistically, you got like 8 of the best teams in the country in that region.
Yeah. So, but we don't have to beat them all. We just have to beat several of them.
Yeah.
To make it out. So this is where Arkansas finds himself. I'm willing the Hogs to victory as well. I mean, I got the Hogs coming out of this region and been to 2 straight Elite Eights. I think this is the year we knock down that door and head to the Final Four in Houston and match up against the hometown team. No problem. I just can't. I mean, I can't wait for that to happen. But first, we got to get by the Fighting Illini of Illinois. A daunting challenge to go up in the first round against anybody.
Yeah.
Because it's just we get several days to think about it. We get a little time to really get a little more in depth. Shout out the guide knowledge of kind of Illinois of how they play and everything. So they do as a fan.
You give Muss 5 days to prepare. Game over.
Too much time.
Yeah, that is pretty true. Did just watch Arkansas beat a similar level team in a tournament setting just a week ago with a couple days rest. Now still need to do things better because we still even made that's besides the point we got here, but.
So one thing I want to bring up, and I want to know what you guys think about it, because it could just be a null point, mute point. But do you think having 3 freshmen on the team whose last tournament experience obviously was Maui, but before that they played a lot of high-level AAU ball? Do you think that kind of goes in their favor of if they can make it past one? Obviously they hadn't played in the NCAA tournament, but do you get any steam from being like, I'm kind of comfortable running it back 2 days from now?
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't help in the SEC tournament too much, but
I think with those guys, I mean, this has been 35 games or a culmination of a season with 35 games, and it's a lot of games, and I think they've kind of grown over the past 6 months or however long the season is, and granted, obviously, especially for those younger players, you do have a lot of games back to back in terms of AAU, but for a young team like Arkansas, I think it's an interesting blend with some of the forwards that are a bit more experienced with some of those younger guards that do have a good future prospect to play in the NBA. So it's just an interesting blend. But you also see some of the older leadership in Devo that I think he's kind of showed himself throughout the season and in his experience and kind of his leadership, with the exception of the Kentucky game.
I think. I think more than. Kind of tournament style even, I think the spotlight is not too big for I think Nick Smith, Anthony Black, literally those guys are primetime players. They're not gonna shy away from just because it's a bigger stage or anything like that. That's why they came to Arkansas, to be on that kind of stage before they go to the NBA. Those guys are ready to be on the NBA. That's what their that's what their career path is as basketball players. So being here on. This is why they came to college at all. They're here for 1 year. They're here to be in the big dance and to make a splash. So
I think the SEC tournament was probably a good primer for it. Practically speaking, in terms of the tournament, it was a good primer for kind of what's to come, because it's the neutral site arena setting at Bridgestone in Nashville, which was a big deal. Obviously, they didn't get it done in the second game, but. I mean, first half, there was a lot of good things that came out of it, but
they've already got 2.
It's just getting back to the drawing board, I think, for them, and just putting together a complete game. Obviously, A&M is a really tough team.
And playing them 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I kind of feel like, getting some of these teams, we're seeing them for the first time, but they're seeing us for the first time. And I want to know if our talent kind of flows more in our favor, because we know we are against in a lot of these games, even in Kansas has some very great players, but you're going to see, we're going to have one of the most talented.
They're not going to
backcourts
overwhelm
on the court.
us with talent. Like,
Yeah,
if
we're going to have.
if we get the chance to match up with Kansas, like, they're not going to overwhelm us with talent.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
We're not going to step to any single team that's going to truly be like, no, we're going to out-talent you this year.
Yeah.
We might out-physical you. Like, that definitely has happened. Or we might, play better defense or play better team, shoot better than you. But, when we step on the court, we step up like, man
just
to man.
on that aspect, I just really hope that Arkansas can win that first game, because I really want to see them match up with Kansas. I genuinely think they're going to beat them.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of getting through that first one, obviously.
Yeah, it'll be massive. Thursday at 3:30.
At Grumpy's.
Oh,
At
We're hitting the
yeah,
Grump.
throw it-
shout out
throw it
Grumpy's,
out there.
sponsor of the pod.
Yeah,
Unofficial sponsor of the pod.
certainly. Sponsor eating and
Yeah. It could be, I think we're
Yeah.
a phone call away. Send me some seats, Grumpy's. Goodness.
yeah, one table. Save me a
Just
table for the
give us a
Razorbacks game.
season's worth of their seasoned fries. I'll come down every weekend for it.
Yeah, but I gotta agree with you, Ben, on this section. Pretty much had the same. The only difference is I had Gonzaga beating UCLA. So
Yeah.
That would be a fun. As you're kind of reading through that, like, that would be a really fun matchup to watch.
Yeah.
Later on. In the
Yeah,
tournament.
it's a really great region, and there's going to be some really nice matchups, I think, overall. I don't see, outside of the VCU game, I don't see a ton of major upsets happening in those first couple rounds, or that first round, but
I had the 11th seed beating TCU, but beforehand, I didn't know your homer. You lied with the TCU guys, and I know I'm the villain this episode, but you did make some pretty solid points. I were able to see a lot of TCU basketball this year. And, I did write in 11. I didn't even give them the respect to
I was going
write
to
it.
say, that was the first thing I noticed of your
Oh, it all makes so much sense now. I touched a nerve. But yeah, we'll see when I go to actually fill this out online. I
Yeah.
might be putting TCU down just because you got some eyeballs on the team, and I
You
know
need
how
to
that
put-
feels.
I think you need to put a name to that 11 and then see how you feel.
Yeah, but my name is Arizona State. I
Yeah,
really didn't
it's
feel like
it's
writing it.
it's a cop out, honestly. He just wants the 11th seed, whoever wins. So
It's like,
You're
do
not
you
making
want
a
these
decision.
opportunities to pick one of these two teams or this? It's kind of like you get
Just like
two
whoever
chances
it
versus
is.
one, even though that's not really
yeah,
how it works.
granted,
but-
I mean,
That's kind of how it works today, but we could finish this game, and you're going to change your bracket to...
not me.
Well, are you only doing you're not doing any online brackets?
I guess I will do an online bracket.
Yeah.
I gotta be in the cloud as
Yeah,
well.
usually I don't even fill out the bracket. We were talking before. These first four games are just so kind of scouting report almost. Like I don't really get anything from them. I remember USC played and won and went on. I think they went to Sweet 16 at least.
Telling you, it can be
few years
it can
ago.
be a harbinger
the,
for a team
the
to
only
get hot.
issue. So when we were in school, I think it was our sophomore year. So that was TCU. When I was in school, that was TCU's best season, and they were in the exact same position. They were 6th seed, and they ended up playing the 11 seed play-in game, and it was who won that game was Syracuse, and that Syracuse team ended up going to the Sweet 16. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that doesn't happen again because
Didn't VCU make a nice run as a playing game?
Yeah, that's when they went to the Final Four back in 2011 with Shaka Smart, who's going to lead the Golden Eagles of Marquette to another
Wow,
Final Four.
how about Texas, bro? Texas had coached that from that before and after. Like, if he makes a really deep run here, he will have coached like two. Imagine he goes to a Final Four. He coaches the team before you to a Final Four and the team after you, like, pretty soon to a Final Four. It's like, what is?
It'll be even better when Texas loses to Colgate in the first round.
How about?
Hey, I kind of like. Arkansas had a good run-in with Colgate a few years ago. Took us early.
Be
Had us against the
interesting.
ropes.
I think they mentioned that this is Colgate's, like, I don't know if it's 4th straight tournament, but they have yet to win in a tournament setting, or they haven't won a game yet. So this could be the year, and they're the number 1 team in 3-point percentage. So as a team, they shoot 41% from 3.
Ooh,
Pretty good.
That's what they
very
say every
good.
year.
this is what they.
Yeah, I
this
mean,
what
you watch
happened
them.
when they played
The
us.
thing is Texas is incredibly athletic, great guards, and pretty good defenders. And you look at Colgate, and they're the exact opposite. They're a shooting team with not the same amount of athleticism. So you're pretty much banking on them to just go crazy for a lot of threes, which is not the most unheard of thing, but
yeah, that's
they are
true.
a 15 seed. So
If you're gonna bet on someone to go crazy on threes, might as well bet on the team that
is literally the best team in the country about it.
That's
so.
what they do. Yeah, I'd like to see him. Oh, hey, I'm all for the Colgate boys pulling a win. They were a tough. Hey, they were up 14 on Arkansas at one point at least.
I would love to see it from my Texas A&M standing there.
Yeah, that would help out. That would help out the Aggies.
They got to get through Penn State first. You put some fire in.
We'll watch that game. Penn State's there's gonna be a little.
Luckily, we'll be catching a lot of these games together. Hopefully, over the next few days coming up here. So, looking at the Final Four. Let me hit the thing because I don't think. Well, we know you're champion, but you really hadn't thrown it out there. You're champion in Final Four.
Final Four.
There he is, Skuggs.
We definitely have. Oh, I got a Texas feel. I got a very.
baby.
Got a very Southwest.
Just see the passion oozing out of him.
A very
Mr. Rosting.
It's his time to shine.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
He's been born for this. We sleep in May.
It's good to see his daily grind pay off in it's a very especially for those of us who may follow old Johnny Boy on Twitter or whatnot.
Yeah, thinking of all.
See him. He is always thinking about this time of year.
Thinking of all the tweets. This is only November.
Yeah, this is
only December.
Yeah,
this is March now.
It's March. We got a bracket, and I got a Final Four. I got a Final Four pick. I got Baylor facing off versus Marquette. With Marquette making the final against the winner of Houston in their home city, taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks. And what a matchup that would be. Kelvin Sampson, the only coach I wanted before Musselman. Kelvin Sampson was the guy I had targeted as I wanted him as our coach. Also, our athletic director had just come from Houston. Kind of made sense that maybe Sampson would take another big time job. But he has done just a fantastic job at Houston. Testament to them. They are always in and around and a great team. But not on that Saturday. They're losing to the Hogs. And you know what? The Arkansas Razorbacks are going to win themselves a national championship. And wouldn't that be grand?
It's a nice storybook ending.
That'd be very sweet.
On April 3rd, it would be quite the storybook ending. Yeah, I decided my bracket is truly what I hope. I hope those games are happening because I will be very interested if that continues to happen.
That is the
and
beauty
why not?
of it.
I don't think in my entire life I have never picked the champion right. So I decided to just go with if I'm gonna get it wrong, it might as well be the Rays. I've already been wrong about them all. I'm already used to that. But if they win, I never ever will sit there and be like, no, I didn't pick Arkansas won the national championship and I didn't pick them. If I got the chance,
that is true. Picked. Oh, that could be me this year. Because I don't have Arkansas winning. I got not Arkansas. I have evil Arkansas winning. I have
the upside down Arkansas.
You live long enough, right?
Yeah.
You see yourself become the villain. That's what I've done this year with.
That is sickening.
Alabama
and unfortunately,
and Duke
you're
on one side.
Unfortunately, yours is much more realistic than I find my position.
A&M and Gonzaga on the other side. That kind of.
Yeah, now that you say it out loud about A&M.
No, it's more the Gonzagas. The Gonzaga team. I love.
Oh yeah, that's what you need to pencil in TCU in for the Final Four now.
I mean. Ooh, tough to get past. Oh, they got Gonzaga on their side. I don't know. Gonzaga feels like they could have a little storybook. They've been so quiet all year.
That's kind of I feel like it's a really similar team to when they're always ranked number one. They just maybe two more losses than their number one teams.
I think the WCC is just a tiny bit better.
Yeah,
better.
The perception of them is way down when in reality they're still they don't have a Chet Holmgren. I guess that really is kind of the knock or the true final factor that they're missing from being a 1 seed or something like that is having a high level I don't know, NBA guy like that. I'm sure they have some NBA talent still on the roster there. I don't know full shakedown, but
They got some very good players.
I think they're
Bolton at
primed.
guard.
After such a disappointing exit versus Arkansas last year,
Yeah.
where they just got owned, where Mark Few truly got just outclassed in coaching. One of Eric Musselman's absolutely his best game as an Arkansas coach was them just handling Gonzaga. Anyway, that inspires me to pick Gonzaga. I think they might be primed for something special.
And I think they have what it takes, a little bit of that tournament history to win the war of attrition that is the West and Midwest regions. So Gonzaga versus Alabama. Alabama wins by 27. And one of the least exciting, Brandon Miller throws up crazy numbers. The world goes, half the state burns down. Just crazy stuff happening for me and the team I'm riding with in bracket-wise in March. But I might have to write my storybook bracket, just all the lower seeds winning.
Alabama winning the national title with this team and current roster, literally you might incite like a culture war.
Yeah.
Or like there could be some effects like I was kind of hearing some people talk about this on the radio, like within the college basketball world, this has been a big story for a while.
Huge.
They get to the Final Four. This is it's like more of a national worldwide media story. Just way more people who don't know anything about it all of a sudden click on an article, It just is way broader. And that story, it doesn't go away at the bigger level. The spotlight gets even brighter, and then they win, and people just a recipe for outrage. And in the fact of like Bama fans being just ignorant and like blindly just following the team and support and being the villains. They are accepting. They're sinking in as the villains. They don't fully even realize the tone deafness of the Bama fans is they're not even really fully realizing why they're the villain.
Nope.
And it's a whole dynamic. We can get into the psychology of a Bama fan, which would be
I think that has to be an off-season real deep dive. Just so we hadn't really touched on the whole situation and it being one of the top picks in the NBA draft and one of the top picks in the NFL draft, both having these, literally like not really, but really blood on their hands. It's a lot to get into. But at a more nuanced time.
Well, just know that Bryce is cheering for absolute just
filth,
anarchy.
Absolute filth. Oh, degradation of the game. I get off to it. Goodness. Hey, if you want me to be the villain, I will take. I put a measly amount of cash and just said Bama's my team early on. Brandon Miller incident. Darius Miles incident, but Brandon Miller incident. Still rolling with them.
Yeah.
Didn't even. It
had a chance.
Wasn't even a speed bump for me. I just kind of.
It honestly made the downhill even faster.
Yeah, it was one of those like it was like hitting the side of the interstate. I was like, oh, cool.
I'm on the on ramp. We are on now.
I was going fast. I'm still going fast. I almost fell asleep there for a second. But what was your final four?
Yeah, so I have Houston, I've got Gonzaga, and then, kind of anticlimactic, I have Alabama, and then Marquette.
Yeah. I think that's kind of...
Yeah, I juggled with Duke and Marquette, but I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts for Duke. And then I also thought about Memphis, but ended up finalizing with... I just confirmed with... Marquette. I think they're playing some of the best ball, and...
Yeah.
They just play a fun style offensively, and I think Shock is really getting them to play well defensively too. So it's a good combination of just an offensively and defensively efficient team.
Now, if I had to put money on any of our brackets, I'd probably put money on yours. But
I have one. I've won a couple bracket challenges. I've won a couple bracket challenges in my heyday.
It was truly life or death.
That's a great disclosure. Is like I have zero money involved in my bracket. I own this is
not a pencil on the clock.
Yeah, this is not. It is my bracket. I'm claiming it as mine. It is not. I have zero claim to think it's enlightened in any way in terms of actual basketball.
Yeah, for all I know, like I'll be last in my office bracket pool. So
That's how it works.
yeah, I mean,
It's the beauty of March.
That's why when people like, I guess I was on the phone. My mom and my grandma was really into filling out a bracket too, and
That's
I was
awesome.
like, you know this better than me. Like I can't help you out here. You know just as well as me that I don't have the answers here. So
Yeah, that gets proven every time. Either like a cousin or something. Like my younger cousin, probably at the time 10, 9, like a year or two ago. Probably one of the heavier seasons where I'd watched like a lot of hoops. Like I had spent just a lot of time that winter and spring watching college basketball. Thought this year I really have a pretty good grasp of what's going on. Fill out my bracket and just not even just get beat by like my 9-year-old cousin. Just get absolutely torched. Like his bracket just ends so much better than mine. Or how many times my mom or someone would just rack up.
My
and
mom's
just
like
beat me.
5-time reigning champ in the family bracket. It's not even close. This because I picked Bama, they will be losing in the second round to West Virginia, which country roads.
Would ignite the country in a positive way.
Yeah.
Or would be very, very enjoyable for a lot of people for Bama to lose. And Bob Huggins, people were writing him off.
I'm a fan of Bob Huggins. I like him.
People
love
were writing
Bob.
him off.
On ball.
That's
loves
one of the
Bob.
last old school coaches out there, man. Love that.
Guys know Bob.